So join in on the fun and grab your glue gun. It's the Preppy Crafty Girl Show.
Hey everyone, it's Jonna, the Preppy Crafty Girl, and I am here for the hashtag Prairie Girls Gather. I, myself, the Preppy Crafty Girl, and Angela, the Traveling Crafter, and Carol at Crinkle Path are doing a series. It's a collab that we are doing for the months of October and into November. Today is our kickoff day, so I'm super excited. We're supposed to be showing the journals covers and how we are pulling our stuff and what we're going to be using in them. And so I want to show you one of my journal covers that is my inspiration and how I have been wanting to do this forever. So this is a book that I got when I was a kid, and I loved Little House on the Prairie. I wanted to be Laura Ingalls. I lived on a farm at the time. I played all the Laura Ingalls different scenes out of the book, and it was a book that I just loved and adored. And so I had found an extra one of these books, and so I thought I'm gonna make a journal out of the second one that I found. My first one is on my bookcase in my bedroom, so I didn't want to use that one, but this is the one that I actually read from and fell in love with. And so then when I was talking with Carol and Angela, we decided that we were going to just do all the Prairie Girls, Hobbie, Sunbonnet Babies, the Ginghams, like just whoever wore a bonnet is welcome, and whoever like lived on a farm or out in the country or was a gardener, any of those things. If you love any kind of bonnet girl, then this is the collab for you. So let me show you what I ended up doing here. I did some patchwork on some fabric, and my dear friends Terry, Mick Mouse Mom, and also Kelly, who is not on YouTube sadly, but they've gifted me some of the Little House on the Prairie fabric because I didn't even know it existed. So I missed that era when that came out. I kind of stayed within the tones of the aqua and the red and the cream for my cover. And I did a 2.5 inch binding. And then I used this really cool, I bought this down in Florida. It's got some turquoise on here, like real turquoise beads, and these little tiny wooden, some kind of wooden bead. And I thought, oh my goodness, that is perfect when I found it. It had a white background, so I had to tea stain it, but I tea stained it the perfect patina to match the cover. And then on my inside covers, I chose a Cosmo Cricket paper that I have been holding on to for years and did not want to use. It's called Circa 1934. Of course, this story was from the 1890s, but I thought, you know what, this was the perfect colors, and so I went with the Circa 1934 by Cosmo Cricket. And yeah, so that is this one cover. Well, that kind of started it off, and I had a few things that were Holly Hobbie, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to do a Holly Hobbie book. I had been wanting to do a Christmas journal, junk journal, but I didn't want to do like normal Christmas, and so I found Christmas in the Big Woods. Well, Christmas in the Big Woods is actually a chapter out of the Little House on the Prairie, and they ended up making in the 90s a book. And so I ended up getting this, I found this book, and I decided to use that for my cover, and I made a soft bound cover, and it has a rounded spine, but it's going to be nice and fluffy and so fun to use and decorate. So I am doing Christmas in the Big Woods from the Little House book series, and I went and I did some patchwork quilting on these pages, and I don't like unfinished seams. I'm kind of weird about that with my fabric, and so I pulled out my machines for you guys. I just want you to know I pulled my machine out and I did this nice edging around so it's all sealed and it will not may have a little bit of fraying, just a tiny little bit of fraying, but I can go in and kind of trim that, but it's not going to be all raggedy edged. Okay, so I have that one. And then my other little golden book one that I did was, I mean, not little golden book. Oh my goodness. My other little house on the prairie was the Little House Laura Ingalls Wilder. And so I have something coming in the mail that I ordered for the front of this journal, which I'm super excited about. And I went ahead and made this one. So this has also a rounded spine. It's 2.5 inches, which I thought 2.5 inches for this size journal was a good size. If I had gone with 3, I think it would have been a little too weird looking for the size of this journal. But this is the inside. So I used that really sweet fabric that my friend Terry gave me, and then these were actually the inside pages, so I thought, oh my gosh, how perfect is that? So this one's going to be greens and browns and just a nice fall-esque type journal. So I'm super excited about what I'm going to put on the front of this. I hope it gets here this week. So those are the 3 Little House on the Prairie journals that I am doing. Now, I just want this to be said that I will be selling the other 5 journals that I'm making. This one is not going to be for sale because this one's going to be mine, but I will be selling the other one. So if you see any of these that you might like and you might want to reserve, you can email me at thepreppycraftygirl@gmail.com, and we will get you set up there. All right, so let me set these aside. Then that started a whole thing because I had some Holly Hobbie stuff. Well, I forgot that I had this Holly Hobbie address book. Now, it's kind of rough, but I do have a plan to put something right here. But I just love the cover of this journal. And Angela sent me this really sweet fabric. So I embroidered around the edge so she will not come off or fray. And so she is on the back side. I also used some vintage fabric and quilted myself this little square here for the spine. And then this is some really cute vintage trim that I used. And there was like a tear back here, so I just put this little patch of a heart there. I still have to finish off the corners, but this is the inside. So the fabric she sent me had this really sweet pocket, but it didn't have anything on the front, so I cut this from the fabric and then I embroidered this on to the pocket. So you have this really cute pocket in the front. And then this is the vintage fabric on the inside. And then I made this belly band in the back from some trim that I had that I thought went perfectly with the paper that I had chosen for this journal. So that is the one Holly Hobbie journal that I did. And then I found, and I had been wanting this one, I almost wanted to keep myself because it is so stinking cute. And it's pink and green, so I love pink and green, and it's super soft. And this is a part of a quilt that I have that is feed sack cloth, and it's hand quilted. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is adorable. Okay, this is going to be the binding. I just rubber banded it because I had to stitch it down before I stitched it together because I didn't want the stitching on the inside to show. And but it'll wrap around this cute little vintage Bakelite button. And isn't she the sweetest little Holly Hobbie? This is a quilt that actually has other quilt. It's like a quilt inside a quilt. It's really weird, but yeah, it has like layers of quilt. And again, I pulled out my machine and I did a really nice finishing edge on this so it will not come apart. And then the fabric on the inside is this super, super sweet Swiss dot, and also a little like a daisy strip like on there. This is also like puffy like Swiss dot. So I pulled that out of my stash and I was willing to share. I made this really cute pocket, and then in the back, out of a vintage napkin, and then in the back, I put these little pockets for your pen. So you can put your pen and your pencil back there for your journal. So I thought that would be a cute idea instead of just cutting it off here. And so this one's only going to have a 1 inch, or yeah, 1 inch spine. So it's only going to have one signature, but it is soft and sweet. And I stitched this beautiful pink and green because I thought it was just matched the front perfectly. So I love this one. Yes, this one will be for sale. I don't want to sell it, but it's so cute. All right, my last one, but not least, is my 6th one, and that is the Sunbonnet Baby. Now, I had this Sunbonnet Baby that was gifted to me, and I thought I need to use this for the cover. This is going to have a 3-inch spine. It is soft and gushy. I quilted on this fabric, and I used a vintage quilt block and some vintage calico fabric on here. Here's another piece of those napkin, little embroidery piece on the back that I thought was super sweet, and I just love the trim that I used around the edge. Again, this has a really nice finish to it. I pulled out my machine. It also has this really, these were actually curtains out of a 1960s house. So I thought it was really neat. I bought a set of curtains out of this house that was from the 1960s. And I thought this was the perfect print to put in here. And then my friend Callie gifted me all these cute little Sunbonnet Baby fabric. And so I put those as my pocket, front and back. And that will be, that is up. So I have been busy this week, people, making journals, and I've been having the best time pulling out fabrics and pulling out everything that's gonna go in these. I'm super excited. I'm excited that I'm finally getting to make my Little House on the Prairie journal, and it just kind of reignited all the things that I loved about Little House on the Prairie. I have been watching the series again. I love Michael Landon. Just he was so handsome, and Paul, and and little Carrie, she was adorable. But it was just a show I was raised on, and I loved the books as a young girl, and it just was such an awesome book series. So if you are also a Prairie Girl lover, I hope you will join us and use the hashtag prairiegirlsgather so that we can see what you're up to, and let's just do this whole community of Prairie Girls gathering around. And I will be back with a live next Monday with Angela and with Carol, and we're going to be working on signatures. I hope that I have not taken on too much with 6 books, but it's a series that I love, so I think I'm gonna have fun. I will show you in the next little segment how I got myself organized, because I have to have things organized or I get overwhelmed. And so how I'm doing everything is, and I'll show you my cart. I have an exclusive cart just for the Prairie Girls gathering, just to gather all my things that I want to use so I can be really just set up for a win on this series. And so I decided to get ready for this series. I would create a Prairie Girls Gathers cart, and I kind of gathered all my things up that I thought I might be using in the journals. So I purposed this cart just for these projects, and I pulled stamps and dies and all kinds of little bits, and I've got things I want to alter, and then I've got some pages out of the original Little House on the Prairie books. And then down here on the bottom, I have each of one of my books have the pages that I want to use, and then all the little bits and bobs. And I've got 6 books ready to go under here. And then I pulled stamps, and I pulled dies and embossing folders that I thought would be appropriate. I have some leftover little bits because all little bits that I want to use are in the bags. I've kind of allocated them. but I've already started working on some snippet rolls, and I've got extra cards in here. And I started to collect some things for charms. And then I have these handmade beads I made as part of Trinket Tuesday. And so I've got a little container, Altoid container full of those ready to go. I want to cover some fabric buttons. I'm going to do that. And then in here, I've already started fussy cutting. I have some of my printables for the series that I started fussy cut out. I have some stamps stored in this cute little Sunbonnet Girl vintage little letter holder. And then I have some tags. I did pull out my beloved 7 Gypsies because one of the ones that I think is going to be appropriate is called Conservatory. And I just loved that line, and I thought it would fit one of the books I'm working on. And then I pulled some Kathy Holden because I thought Kathy Holden, her products, I thought would be perfect for some of these. So there's some labels and some of her papers and some die cuts. Also some more die cuts and labels. And then back here, I have some metal things that I want to use and alter. I have to kind of go through those. These are by Fab Scraps. I don't even think they're around anymore. I think they were an Australian company. And I bought these at a Craft and Hobby Association years ago that I had attended. And then over here, I have some stencils that I want to try out. I've had these forever. I don't know if you guys remember Club Scrap, but these are from Club Scrap, and I never used them. And I thought, you know what? I came across them when I was digging through my stuff, and I'm going to use them. I've got some vintage wrapping paper pulled and some airmail and some vellum. And some of my mother's handmade paper. Yes, I thought I would bless some of these with my sweet mother's, may she rest in peace, her handmade paper. And so I have some of that. And then there are some catalog pages and book pages and Ideal magazine and some other things. So that is what is in my cart. And I did each journal, I made a kit. So this is my kit for the Christmas in the Big Woods. And I pulled my papers, and I pulled out some of my beloved ones that I have been hoarding, and I'm going to share them. I don't know if you knew the IOD girls that do all of the stencils and everything like that for like chalk painting and things. They used to be in the scrapbooking industry. So they were licensed through Creative Imaginations, and I have the IOD Christmas line that I think is going to be stunning with this, because there's some soft blues and some reds, and I just think it's going to be just so beautiful. Look at this for Little House, the Christmas in the Big Woods. So I did pull some of that. A little bit of Holly Hobbie is going to end up probably in each one of the books, but I have this Holly Hobbie. It was a placemat, and so I fussy cut around it, and I'm going to use that in there. But so I have all the bigger pages that are going to go in the book, not the blank ones, but the ones that are printed in these 12 by 12 page protectors. They came out of a scrapbook, and I thought they worked great for this. And so I pulled vintage wrapping paper and letterhead, and look at this vintage wrapping paper that I'm going to use in here. Look at her, she's adorable. So I thought that again is like all the blues and the greens and the reds. And so I went through my vintage wrapping paper and my vintage stationery, and also I have some of these, which I thought this was like the Olsen store, so I pulled that out of our beloved Ideals books. Yeah, so I had fun pulling things. I do have a vintage, it's not that old, but I have this December 1984 that had some really cool kind of things in here like marmalade and stuff like that that they talked about in the book. So I did pull that. And yeah, so that's kind of how I have things. And then I have, whoops, then I have, then I have in these little pouches all the things that I'm going to be putting in it. Like I've already started pulling stuff for dangles and for the journals, and I've already made for this one, I've already made the scrappy ties. Some of them are going to have different ties, but I did the scrappy tie for this one, and I've got like just different ephemera I pulled and cards. And look at this one. Oh my goodness, I thought, how perfect is this vintage card? So anyway, with the sleigh, and then look at this postcard, this old 1919 postcards going in there. It's got a little chippy edge there, so I may put a tab or something there. But yeah, so I just kind of started to pull some things. They may go in, they may not go in, I don't know. I'm just gonna, I may have to make a lot more, but we do have series coming up that is going to be like making tags and pockets and things like that. So look at these vintage recipe cards. So I have a lot of things. I just kind of went through my stash. Here's a postcard of the copper mine village in 1880. So that would have been a true village during that time. I think this was up in Michigan. Yeah, Michigan's Upper Peninsula. So I thought that was kind of neat. I do have this old photo. So I did, or that's an old postcard. And that's us horses pulling logs, which I thought about them building the log cabin. So I thought that's kind of a cool postcard. Here's another Christmas postcard. This was really old. I don't know what year it was from. Doesn't say. But then there's this log cabin in the snow, so that's a postcard also. And so anyway, yeah, I just pulled all different things. I've already kind of started making like little scrappy notebooks and different kind of journaling cards. And so that's kind of what I did. I pulled all kinds of things that I had in my stash. Some vintage fabrics and trims and all that. So each one of my journal covers has this same setup. It's got a bag and of little things I'm going to put in it, and then it has all the bigger papers that I'm going to be using as pages. So yeah, so I hope again you join us, use the hashtag, and you know, let us know if you're going to join in. And I'm super excited to do this series with my friends, and look forward to every Monday from now until the second week of November, because we will be working on these. So see you guys later. Bye-bye.
The preppy craft girl living in her crafty world. She loves creating junk